Hello everybody, Daniel from Spacedock here, and a couple of weeks ago, Star Trek Lower Decks introduced us to the new Parliament-class Starship in its 5th episode. And to be completely honest, I think this is maybe one of my favourite Federation Starship designs ever. I really think the Lower Decks people have just knocked it out of the park with this design. It seems to be drawing elements from certain beta canon and Star Trek Online designs. I can see aspects of the Odyssey class in its underslung deflector dish, and the whole ship generally looks like the classic Lunar class design just turned upside down with a few changes. The lines of the ship just flow together really well, and I think it's quite appropriately used in the episode because it was kind of supposed to be representative of a sort of ideal hero ship, which in this case takes the form of the USS Vancouver in the episode, which is kind of the envy of the various Lower Decks crew members who would rather be working on this fancy top-of-the-line ship. Also, kudos to the writers for the little visual joke where everyone on the USS Vancouver apparently eats sushi and poutine. That was one of the many moments in this show that has made me genuinely laugh out loud. I'm really enjoying Lower Decks overall. I was a little bit concerned about it at first. I thought its pilot was quite bad, and it didn't really build traction in the right way, and I'm not sure if it was paced brilliantly, but since its 3rd episode, I think it's really fallen into this nice kind of Red Dwarf-style dramedy kind of place. And to be honest, its commitment to the continuity of Star Trek is surprisingly better than almost any of the serious drama shows the Star Trek franchise is producing right now, so I feel like maybe they should start swapping some of these team members around a little bit, and that kind of commitment really is apparent here in this fantastic ship design. I think this is a very convincing late 24th century Starship design. I was a little bit disappointed with the Inquiry class USS Zheng He in Star Trek Picard, which was a little bit generic. This feels like more of a sensible extrapolation of where we were in the First Contact kind of era and the TNG movies. The USS Vancouver itself is described as a dedicated large-scale engineering platform, and Memory Alpha seems to have interpreted this as meaning that the Parliament class itself is an engineering ship for this job. I think this is not really what the script intended. It seems like the character was saying the Vancouver specifically is an engineering ship. It's a multi-purpose ship that has been assigned to the role of engineering. In the past, in various bits of ancillary material, we've heard about how the Sabre class is used by the Starfleet Corps of Engineers, despite the fact that that ship was designed to be an escort cruiser, a tactical vessel. It seems like dedicated large-scale engineering ships aren't really a common thing that Starfleet builds. They're more into the sort of multi-role ship idea, and I feel like this is just a specific job the Vancouver is doing, because the Parliament class overall doesn't look like an engineering ship. It looks a lot more versatile and multi-purpose and quite fast with a sort of narrow attack profile that suggests maybe it is quite useful in a fight. Now, Lower Decks has absolutely gorgeous exterior shots and spacecraft artwork that I really enjoy, and we get this wonderful shot in the episode of it alongside the California class USS Cerritos, and this really illustrates to me something great that I think this show does with its ship design. The California class looks like something that was kitbashed in a day for the background of a shot in TNG. And it's obviously very deliberately doing that, which I think is a great idea, because it's a Lower Decks ship for Lower Decks characters. It's a very background, sort of Z-list support ship. It seems to be implied that it's quite old by the time of the show's setting, and it has a very 2360s Galaxy-class style deflector dish. So I'm wondering if maybe this ship is older than the Dominion War, or was introduced during the Dominion War as a kind of emergency, quickly built support ship. Either of those explanations would work well, but seeing the two ships next to each other like this really is nice, because it's the sort of top-of-the-line, cutting-edge, science explorer, tactical vessel in the form of the Parliament class, the apex of what the Federation is doing in the 2380s, and then the older, kind of, perhaps underappreciated workhorse of the fleet in the form of the California class. There are a lot of fans out there who don't really like the design of the California class all that much, and I can maybe see where you're coming from. It is a little bit clunky, and it does have the silly Oberth class style thing where you have to go through the nacelle pylons in a turbo lift and then walk down a giant radioactive tube to get anywhere, which is admittedly a little strange, but to be honest, I think the intended design of the Cerritos and the California class has worked on me, because it sort of has that adorable pluckiness to it. It looks functional and deliberately kind of clunky, and it just fits the whole underdog theme really, really well. But in terms of classic 24th century sleek Federation Starship design, the Parliament class is where all of the boxes are ticked here, and I've got to give huge props to the people who designed this for the show. I really hope we get an Eagle Moss model of this, and maybe it'll show up in Star Trek Online at some point, and I hope Lower Decks keeps giving us awesome new 2480s Federation Starship designs. The USS Titan was mentioned in the latest episode, and I would love to see the classic beta canon Lunar class design vindicated, maybe even the Odyssey class since we had the USS Verity in the Picard comics, and just any new designs in this kind of style that you can roll out, because this really is, I think, Federation ship design design at its best. This is the era of Star Trek history where everything looked the best, and it's nice to see that being continued rather seamlessly from the end of Voyager and the TNG movies. So those are my thoughts on the Parliament and California class ships, and I really hope the Parliament class in particular gets an Eagle Moss book so that I can have some juicy specifications to put into a Spacedock video, because this thing really deserves some coverage. It's just a gorgeous design. And if you've not checked out Star Trek Lower Decks and you're a fan of kind of irreverent comedy, drama, science fiction content, even if you're a hardcore Star Trek canon purist, you might be pleasantly surprised by how much this show kind of pays attention to that sort of thing. Either way, we definitely have the show to thank for some awesome new ship designs. Thank you all for listening. This is Daniel from Spacedock, signing off. Thank you for watching Spacedock. If you're interested in supporting the channel, please do check out the links on the screen right now or in the description below for our Patreon and channel membership services. Anything you can pledge goes towards improving our team and our equipment and allowing us to put together bigger and more exciting video projects for you guys on the channel.